At this point, I want to introduce Assistant Director Cornelia Schlenk for additional remarks. She's managed our research program for many years and is really our institutional memory in New York Sea Grant.
Thank you. Well, institutional memory, you know, I try not to think about how many years I've been working for New York Sea Grant, but it's been a long time, and I know many of you for many, many years, and it's been a pleasure. Just as a little history on Sea Grant that you may not know, it is our 40th year, so the program first received money in 1971, but actually before that there was discussion and planning, actually originated by Cornell University, who first thought of having a multi-institutional Sea Grant program. And so they combined with SUNY system, and then actually it was assigned to the director of the Marine Sciences Department to develop put pen to paper and develop what has now become the New York Sea Grant program. When Sea Grant started, it began in its first offices, its first administrative offices were in Albany. And the idea was that there it's close to state offices, close to our elected officials, and it had sort of a different flavor at that time, but it was funding research, it was funding extension and education. So those components have been part of Sea Grant since the beginning. Don Squires was the director at that time and for many years and had a staff, as was mentioned. Bill Wise was essentially my predecessor in the assistant director's position. In 1987, a decision was made to move the administrative offices for Sea Grant down to Stony Brook, and we're very thankful that Stony Brook University stepped forward to host us. The decision was, let's have the Sea Grant program, which is a university program located on a university campus. And that does make a lot of sense. And so we've been at home there within the SOMAS now since that time, and it's really worked very well for us and produced a lot of good synergy for the program, and I hope and I think also for SOMAS and other institutions on Long Island. We retain our extension office at Cornell, as was mentioned earlier, so it is a sort of bipartisan program that's SUNY-wide, plus Cornell, and of course we're part of NOAA, which is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So I mentioned Don Squires. He was the director when the program was in Albany. When the program moved down to Long Island, Bob Maloof became the director, and he's the person that hired me at that time. Ann McElroy succeeded Bob Maloof, and I believe she's here today. So she was our director and leader for a number of years. And Jack Mattias, as also was mentioned, was our director from 1997 to 2007. So, and then, of course, Jim Ammerman, our director now. So I've been with Sea Grant during that whole time period and have never been bored in this job. It's an exciting program. I still find it to be exciting. There's always something new. There's always something different, you know. And we do good stuff, essentially. I think the program itself, as well as the researchers that we fund, we've been responsive and visionary and have done a lot of good for in addressing the coastal problems and opportunities for New York, both in the Marine District and up in the Great Lakes. And our contributions to science, both in terms of information and people, I think have been pretty phenomenal. During this time, we've funded more than 600 research projects. We've funded more than 600 graduate students. And out of that, you know, we've got numerous, I mean, each research project, we did a calculation one time, each research project on average 1 to 2 scientific peer-reviewed publications. The 600 graduate students that we've supported are all, or not all, but many are in positions of influence relative to the marine and Great Lakes areas. both as in government jobs and academia and in industry. And we have a few examples here. Karen Chaitalo is one. Bill Wise was actually a Sea Grant scholar. Chris Gobler was a Sea Grant scholar. Many scholars who have received their training from New York Sea Grant, many at Stony Brook, but also many at other institutions throughout New York. I think, let me come back to a couple of the words I used a minute ago. Responsive. I think that's one of the things that Sea Grant prides itself on, being responsive to issues as they arise, and visionary in terms of actually anticipating things. We jumped right in on many issues, both in the Great Lakes and in the Marine District. Brown tide, hard clam, lobster disease are some examples down here. In the Great Lakes, food web issues, avian botulism, VHSV, are issues that we were discussing earlier today, are all things that Sea Grant has jumped into, funded research on, and conducted outreach to try to bring the results of that research to the audiences and stakeholders that need it. Problem solving has been a great strength of Sea Grant, both in the researchers who address the questions that we bring to their attention and we ask them to write proposals for, and also our extension staff in particular, trying to help people solve problems. I'd just like to thank everybody today for being here, the researchers, the stakeholders, elected officials. We're trying hard to work with you and provide you with the information that you need, and we look forward to working with you on problems and opportunities in the coming years as well. Thank you.